Namaskar, Salam Alaikum, Walakam, Sastri Akal.
You are listening to the Sunday Breath that inspires creatives to pursue their passion and not be discouraged in these tough times. Today, with us, we have a very special guest. Everyone calls him the coach, based on his keen interest in conducting workshops and seminars on various subjects and guiding young at heart managers to excel.
He graduated from Delhi University and is an alumnus of St. Stephen's College. He is a veteran sales and marketing professional, and the last job he held was the president of marketing at Bell Ceramics back in 2012. During his corporate journey, he has achieved a lot of awards, including Zydus Cadila Marketing Man of the Year Award, which was awarded by the Ahmedabad Management Association. He has authored 4 books and he is currently a life coach. Sir has delivered a TEDx talk on discovering the joy of selling at IIM Raipur in October 2017. He is a passionate biker who has covered 2.5 lakhs kilometers on his Royal Enfield and a hardcore Mohammad Rafi fan. So we have with us Mr. Achal Rangaswamy himself, and I am so excited to be talking to you today, sir. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mukul. Thanks a lot.
The first question that I would love to ask you is that can you please describe your journey from being an industry expert in sales and marketing to becoming a life coach all of a sudden?
It so happened, Mukul, that I was enjoying being a salesperson. Well, I'll be honest. I wasn't actually enjoying being a salesperson or selling anything to anybody. I can't imagine having sold any product to any customer. I don't think I had the necessary wherewithal or the personality or any of the traits. But what happened was that the first assignment of mine happened very interestingly. I got to know that there was an organization, a leader in weighing scales, an MNC, which used to give Enfield bullets to their sales reps. I didn't want to be in sales, but I wanted that bullet. And when my parents nicely persuaded me not to worry about the bike, I went ahead and gave this walk-in interview where I must tell people that the job came with the bike didn't come with the job. I got the bike and it brought the job along. So what happened was that I was posted in the interiors of Rajasthan to begin with and later Gujarat. Now, in the process, riding the bike, when you're doing what you love and you love what you do, you really aren't working. You're enjoying life. Life is a nice, long, paid vacation. So I was traveling on my bike, meeting customers, solving their problems. And every time there was a problem, every time a requirement was there, I would be the first to go because I get a chance to ride the bike. In the process, I covered a lot of distance. I made a lot of friends. People like to call those friends customers. And in the process, I started enjoying my sales career. I also discovered a great interest that I had in enhancing the prestige and the value of salespeople, something which I noticed that was lacking. Salespeople themselves probably felt a little low about themselves. And we'll probably talk about it later that a lot of salespeople don't like to be called salespeople. They would rather be called marketing people,
Yes, sir.
So what really happened was that I realized that I need to not only sell well, but teach people to sell well. So even as a sales manager, later as a marketing head, as a general manager, as a VP, as a senior VP, as a president, whatever positions I occupied, I always insisted on being connected with the sales department as well, not just marketing. In the process, I ended up grooming a lot of young, fresh salespeople and guiding senior salespeople who probably may have got into a rut or something like that. Now, the next step happened. Many of these sales guys who fairly, got acquainted with my traits, my habits, my characteristics and all, opened up and started talking to me about their problems. They started talking to me about time management issues, stress management issues, people management. You got to learn to manage your team. You got to learn to manage your boss. You got to learn to manage your customer, various people. And then, of course, issues of work-life balance and things like that. Time management, leadership, interpersonal skills. And dekhte pata nahi kab from a sales trainer, I guess I just drifted into becoming a guy who would say, take your job seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And in the process, I guess the guys started liking what I said.
Yes.
And somewhere along the way, the word coach, Achal Narayanan Rangaswamy is a mouthful of a name. Coach bulana zyada aasan hai. So I guess the guys started calling me coach. And somewhere along the way, a couple of guys said, you made our life. You are our life coach.
Yes.
So be it. And that's how I guess it happened. It didn't happen all of a sudden. I have been, though my employment span was about 32 odd years, my leadership span in those 32 years must have been for about 20 odd years, 21, 22 years. So in those 22 years also, I guess, I've been teaching sales. And somewhere along the way, I guess I drifted into this. And the greatest satisfaction I get is when people come and tell me, I'm happy, I'm doing well, I've been successful, I've got a promotion, so I got a bike like yours, or I got a new car, or I bought myself a new home, or my wife says that now I'm talking sense, or something like that. You feel good. Collar apne aap upar ho jata hai.
That's an amazing journey.
Indeed. So our next question would be like, can you tell us something about your TEDx talk at IIM Raipur about the joy of selling?
I was myself surprised when people called me for a TEDx talk. Not that I hadn't been talking. In fact, I'm very famous for talking. But what happened really was, you see, TEDx comes with a very strange constraint. You got to deliver your talk in 18 minutes.
Yes, sir.
And my problem, Mitushi, is it takes me 3 hours to warm up and then start talk. And so I was wondering what to do. But somewhere along the way, I thought, I'll do one thing. I'll try and create a record. I'll create such a record that I'll finish my TEDx talk in just 4.5 minutes by telling a particular story. Now, I was preparing for that, but I think my wife told me, don't do that. Don't share that story. You've done it to death. You killed it. You've shared it so many times that the audience will complete the story for you when you begin. So what happened was I was in a bit of a dilemma. Now, on the way to Raipur, I was wondering, now what do? I promised my wife that I would not tell the insurance salesperson story. But then what happened was I was very keen, and this is probably one of the lessons of marketing. I'm not going to share this story, nor am I going to talk about it. But hopefully our viewers, our listeners, whoever is tuned in to this particular event should check out my TEDx talk at IIM Raipur called Discovering the Joy of Selling. There's a reason. There are two stories, and both these stories can probably change anybody's life. And a record happened, Mukul. The record was such that not 4.5 minutes, probably in 2 minutes, something started happening with the audience. And the audience later told me that this had never happened before in a TEDx talk. So let me keep it at that only and let the suspense remain so that people go and check it out themselves. Now tell me honestly, Mitushi, what do you think I've done? Did I sell my YouTube channel or the TEDx talk clip? So once a salesperson, always a salesperson.
Always a salesperson.
Yes, sir. And our listeners will be very keen to listen to your TEDx talk for sure, sir.
I hope so.
And sir, our next question would be, how has the pandemic changed the required skill set for a business professional? And how can one adapt to such a changing environment?
Yes, a lot of things have happened in the last 1.5 years. And let's also confess that many of the fallout of this pandemic took everybody by surprise. Nobody was anticipating such a long lockdown or semi-lockdown kind of scenario. But believe me, people have done well. Certain businesses have grown, certain businesses have shown stability, and certain businesses have displayed innovation. It's a question of looking at the world from a different perspective. Somewhere down the line, people are going to say that this was probably one of the best lessons that they learned from the marketplace. People have seen a couple of rounds of recession in the past. 98, 99, 2000, then 2007, 2008, 2009. People have seen recession. People have faced the consequences of it. But this one was very different because it's about not being able to go and touch somebody, talk to somebody, shake hands with somebody, sit across the table with somebody. Offices were not open. People couldn't travel. There were issues of logistics, dispatches, supply, the whole works. But I guess I learned 3 things. And I've been sharing this with lots of people. Now, when somebody greets you by saying RIP, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel demoralized. You're going to feel totally low, right?
Yes.
But I like to greet people with RIP, Mukul.
Okay.
Now, you'll ask me, what is this RIP?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
my own meaning of RIP is like this. R stands for reflect, think, examine, study. What exactly is this COVID? What is lockdown? What is the impact of lockdown? What are the things one can do? What's happening to my country, to my city, to my neighborhood, to my business? I stands for introspect. After reflecting and figuring out what's happening, if you introspect and look at the impact of all that on me, myself, there are still certain things that I can do. There's nothing that prevents me from picking up the phone and talking to a prospective client or doing business with somebody. Yes, you need to find an innovative way of meeting the customer's needs, something like that. And that's the time when you realize that reflection and introspection lead you to something called empathy. Everybody talks of energy and enthusiasm when you're doing business.
Right, sir.
4 P's are history. 2 E's, which I've always been talking about, have been enthusiasm and energy. But to that, I think what you need to add is empathy. Today's customers, post-COVID customers, are looking for someone who says, relax. मैं जानता हूँ बुरे दिन हैं, कल हो ना हो, लेकिन मैं हूँ ना.
Yes, sir.
अब कल हो ना हो, लेकिन मैं हूं ना, may sound filmy, but that's the time when the customer feels good, puts his arm around your shoulder and says, chalo koi mil gaya, someone who's going to take care of my needs. And so empathy is badly required. So no longer the pushy kind of a salesperson and things like that. And the third element, P, R-I-P. P stands for prepare, the preparation for better times. One day we're all going to get out of this. One day markets will open fully. One day you will be able to travel. People already have started doing it. One day you will be able to sit across the table. But tell me, when the customer opens his shop or his showroom or his office or factory and is willing to meet you, are you prepared? Or have you been wallowing in self-pity? Have you been wasting your time doing something else, not focusing on how you can ready yourself for the business? So this is where I want to talk about my favorite animal, the royal animal, the symbol of India, the tiger. Now look at the tiger. The tiger kills for food.
Right,
But the
sir.
tiger does not attack from the back. The tiger doesn't attack on impulse. He prepares. He waits. He sits in anticipation. Half an hour, 40 minutes, taak lagakar baitha hota hai. And at the right time, he goes for the jugular. In English, there is a phrase that says, go for the jugular vein. One blow there and the shikar is done. Now, are we ready? In fact, when people were sending WhatsApp messages, were you calling up and talking and building up a personal rapport with people? When people were calling up and talking, did you, with all those calculated risks and all the safety protocols, going and sitting about 6 feet away and expressing concern, were you the first one to show up? See, what's going to happen is, if you've been in touch with your customers throughout this period as a business person, when things open, who's going to be top of mind recall? You will be there if you've been in touch. However, if you've been lurking in the background, said, "Abhi to kaun mujhe bulane wala hai, rehne do," you're going to be right at the back, out of sight, out of mind.
Yes.
And therefore, to gain that space in the consumer's mind, it's always good to stay in constant touch. In fact, they say it is during tough times, if you stick around with people, during the good time, they would like to pay you back.
Yes, sir.
And so they'll probably reciprocate. So RIP is my formula for people to adopt. And this applies even for people like you, students.
Yes, sir.
That same thing. And then college really opens when the schedule is back to normal and you are going to sit for your interviews, for recruitment and things like that. Have you done your homework? And the homework is of a different kind. Nobody wants to hear from Google about his company when he says, what do you know about our company? If you can turn around and tell him things that he doesn't know, and you come across as someone who's absolutely very well informed, look at the amount of respect you can get from the recruiter. So RIP in a very pleasant way.
Yes, sir.
And along with it, fix your nets. I live in Auroville, near Pondicherry. It's very close to the beach. The beach is just 3 kilometers away from my place.
Okay.
What happens to the fishermen during storms? They're told to stay away from water. The danger signals are hoisted. Now, the fisherman only knows water. He only knows the boat. He only knows his net. He only knows the fish. He only knows the sea. And he's told, stay at home. Terrible, no? But you know what he does? He sits at home and repairs his nets. He repairs the fishing net so that when the storms pass, he is there getting the biggest, the freshest, the juiciest fish that he can catch. Are we all fixing our nets? If we don't come out of this pandemic with a new skill, with better health, and with clarity of purpose, we have wasted our time. So I guess this is how one needs to prepare for the post-COVID period.
We also got the definition of the new RIP.
True.
Go around sharing RIP with your friends, but
Yes, sir.
don't wait too long to tell them the meaning of it. Otherwise, they'll
meaning.
probably
Yes,
misunderstand.
sir.
True. I would like to ask that what is that one thing you wished you knew when you started your career that can guide those who are going to start their career now?
See, Mitushi, both of you are students of a Delhi-based institution. You all grown up there. So did I. And I went to an elite college where, even if you spoke in Hindi, you were looked down upon. And what happened was I got this job as a trainee sales representative, and I was posted in Rajasthan. And amongst the first few calls that I made, one was in an agriculture university in the interior. And I went up to a prospective customer in one of the departments there in that agriculture university, and I began my presentation in English. And he looked at me and said, "Ab kahan se padh ke aaye?" And I very proudly said, "I am from this college, from this university." And I said that in English. And he said very nicely, very simply, "ये St. Stephen's वाली अंग्रेजी यहाँ नहीं चलेगी, ये राजस्थान है, हिंदी में बात कीजिए." And that brought me down on earth with a thud, Mithu, that customer की भाषा में बात करो तो उसको अच्छा लगेगा. You'll be able to connect. Not that he doesn't know. He is a professor in the agriculture university. I'm sure he could speak English. It's just that if you want that connect, get closer to the cultural milieu, understand the customer from the social angle as well. This is something which unfortunately is not taught to people, that when you connect, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰੋ, એમની જોડે તમે ગુજરાતીમાં વાત કરો, मला मराठी माहिती आहे અને બાંગ્લા બોલબો અને આમી બાંગ્લા જાની અમે ખૂબ ભાલો જાની. Now, depending on which part of the country, if I am in and I speak to them and I say, "Look, I'm Rangaswamy, but I'm making an attempt to speak your language." तो आप सोचिए कितनी इज्जत कमा सकते हैं, कम से कम कोशिश तो कर रहे हैं आप.
Right.
So you connect emotionally. Now this was one thing which took me some time to get over initially, and I may have done some damage also initially to my career and to the sales figures, because I couldn't connect on an emotional plane with my customers. So my tip to youngsters is, if you understand people from the social point of view, from the cultural point of view, from the language, because ultimately, why did I ride the bike? I rode the bike to understand languages, cultures, cuisines, veshbhusha, the dress, the way people talk, the way people converse. So I guess that is the biggest lesson, and I wish I had known that even before walking out of college into my job.
Thank you so much for sharing that, sir. We all will keep it in mind, and our listeners are going to learn a lot from this. And sir, our next question that I would love to ask you is that how important do you think is the customer from a selling point of view?
My answer to this question is that the question doesn't arise because the customer is everything.
Yes, sir.
I must be breaking a lot of hearts when I say your product may be God's gift to humanity. लेकिन पहले humanity को तो समझो भाई. So your product could be the best designed one. You could have manufactured it precisely. You could have packaged it seductively. You could have advertised it sexily. You could have priced it remarkably beautifully. But if the customer doesn't look at it and say, "This is going to change the way I live. This is going to transform my life," my friend, you are not selling. The product isn't as important. You are not important. Yeah, you can tell the customer you're a great guy, and I think I have an opportunity to make you even greater, and that's exactly why I'm now. Any point of time, it's not that the customer isn't knowledgeable or he doesn't know where he can probably obtain solutions. Why is he listening to you? Probably because he has hope that you might give him a little more solace, a little more comfort, a little more peace, a little more productivity or joy or happiness or bonding or affection or growth or collaboration. You never sell products. These are the words that you sell. You sell celebration, you sell affection, you sell safety, security, and then you sell versatility, operability, reliability, serviceability, applicability, productivity, but not team. And therefore, put the product in the background. Talk about the benefits that he can get from the products, which actually marries needs, and you come across as a problem solver and not a product pusher. So I guess the customer is everything.
लाइफ को एक अलग तरीके से कैसे देख रहा है वो आपसे आज सीखने को मिल रहा है, एंड सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग का भी एक डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव देखने को मिल रहा है. मतलब अभी तक हमें बिल्कुल बुकिश चीजें बताई जा रही थी, अब जो हम आपसे सुन रहे हैं दैट इज legit relatable.
At the end of the day, Mitushi, if you cannot relate with people, how are they going to buy your ideas? Let me tell you this. There must have been a day when you would have told your parents, "I want to study this course." You must have sold to them. You may not have said, "Hello, this is the product, this course. These are the features of this course." And like that. You wouldn't have gone and sold like that. But you must have told them, if I take up this course, I can probably make a career here. I can probably be happy. And if I'm happy, you as parents will be happy and you'll be proud of me. So you're doing this.
Correct.
Yes, sir. So lastly, we have this short game prepared for you, wherein I'll be asking you 5 questions and you can answer them.
Okay.
So going ahead with the first question, what do you think has changed in sales and marketing as compared to 10 years before?
First of all, I think the onset of the internet, information that can easily be acquired at the click of a button may render the sales and marketing professionals sort of, a slightly constrained condition. It may put them in a slightly constrained condition. What they should now remember is not to puke. I tell you, people go and puke on the customer's table. When I say that, I mean, it's not as messy as that, but it is almost as messy as that. What people do is they go and tell everything about the product, the company, the features, this, that, and everything. The customer says, I know all that. Tell me something I don't know. Now, it's important at this stage now to know that there's an information overload. There is a knowledge overkill. So what you really should be telling the customer is something he just didn't know, like my insurance salesperson story, or my ice cream and son story, or that ISRO tender story. Now, what am I doing? I'm telling you things that you have never heard of. And so you'll be curious to say, oh, what's that? And then I get a chance to talk to you. So stop talking about everything under the sun and say something that the customer will hear and say, wow. Now, people talk about the elevator pitch. There's no point in making the elevator pitch anymore. The elevator reaches the 24th floor before you can say Mitushi Gupta.
True.
Or Mukul Gupta.
Yes.
The elevator has already reached the destination. So you've got to say something or do something in those 4 or 5 seconds. So I guess that's, I think, the catch. You need to be crisp, you need to be clear, and you need to touch the customer somewhere that he responds quickly.
True.
He may not have the time. Attention spans, the second thing. Attention spans have dropped. Human attention span today is worse than that of a goldfish. When the customer is listening to you, one eye is on his mobile phone, the other is on the laptop screen. How do you catch his attention? You got to tell him something which makes him lift his eyes away and then say, okay, please tell me. You got to very politely say, I have something that can be absolutely transformational, but can I get 5 minutes of your time, sir? So I guess that's the biggest change. Today, everybody has information. The salesperson used to reveal concealed information. Today, there is nothing concealed. Everybody knows everything. So you got to play from level playing fields. That's what's going to be the future.
The next question would be, today most people want to get into cold marketing but avoid sales jobs. What are your views on it? As you
I don't have a
mentioned
view.
that-
I don't have a view. I have a statement.
Yes, sir.
If you can't
You
sell,
mentioned it before as well, that people tend to deny that they're a salesperson.
if you can't sell, better prepare for hell. Was going to be the name of a book that I was working on a few years back. But then what happened was an organization steeped in spirituality, that organization offered to co-publish the book for me. And they said words like hell and all will not gel. You'll have to think of something softer. So we ended up calling the book Discovering the Joy of Selling. Available now in ebook format from Amazon Kindle, downloadable on any system without the fear of a virus.
Okay.
Now, Discovering the Joy of Selling constantly keeps saying that if you learn to sell, you will be in a position to put your ideas across in such a way that the other person thinks, wow, this was my idea. Oh, wow, wonderful. So someone's confirming what I thought. So like I was telling you a little earlier, we're all going to sell continuously to people, to our neighbors, to the housing society chairman to allow you to park your second car inside the society. Or maybe one day one of you is going to go and tell your parents, this is the person I want to marry, or this is the town in which I want to work. As you can't go and make a statement, you will sell. You will tell them the advantages of such a step. Now, if you can't sell, how can you be a marketer? I'll be honest, I'm not at the risk of sounding immodest or blowing my trumpet. I must tell you one thing. Most of the awards that I got were not as a salesperson. Most of the awards that I got were for a marketing person. And in my 32-odd-year employee career, I was holding marketing positions for over 21 years. Now, what does that mean? That I probably became happier or more effective as a marketing man because I'd been a salesperson. And since I had worked along with salespersons, empathized with them, understood them, related with them, walked in their shoes. See, what happens, I want to tell both of you, if you want to be a successful marketer, you're not really in touch with the customer. Who is your first customer? Your first customer is not the user or consumer of the product. Your first customer is the salesperson.
Yes, sir.
He is going to pick up the product and with his imagination, guts, courage, and some panache is going to go and sell the product because you told him how this product can work. And so your first customer is not Mr. and Mrs. Mukherjee staying in Chittaranjan Park. Your first customer is the sales guy who covers that part of Delhi. And tell him, when you sell this product, you're going to make a lot of money. Or when you sell this product, you're going to get a lot of customers. So it's important, even if you want to succeed in marketing, to know sales. And in the worst scenario, let's say you become a business person and you got a big business, and for some strange reason, the business is not doing well. You want to get rid of it. उस company को OLX पे बेचने के लिए भी तो selling skills की जरूरत होगी.
Correct, sir. Correct.
So, at the end of the day, learning to sell will surely protect you from going to hell.
Yes, sir.
True.
I'm going to remember this statement for the rest of my life, sir.
So the next question is, what are the big challenges faced by you in the journey of becoming a salesperson?
The first one, of course, obviously was both my parents. After I had got into, this elite college, and that college wouldn't admit just about anybody. You either cut off your right arm and donated it to the college, or you had fantastic marks. Otherwise, you couldn't get into that college. They thought that I would probably, like most of the other students from that college, walk into the civil services or become a police officer or a State Bank of India probationary officer or join an MNC as an assistant manager or in the management group. I decided to become a salesperson. So obviously, they must have felt, I'm sure my mother had a deep regret that I didn't go to the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, to study. Okay, and that I had taken up a sales guy's job. That's a different thing that today I go and talk at IIMs. That's a different story. And so when I talk to her, I always ask her, "Ab to khush hongi aap." But that was the first. The second was my own classmates in this college who said, "You mean you're going to walk on the streets of various cities of India with a product in your hand saying, buy this product, buy this product?" I said, "No, I'm going to say in Hindi, तोलने का कांटा ले लो, तोलने का कांटा ले लो, पैसे बनाओ, profits बनाओ, customer का विश्वास जीतो." He said, "You're going to do that?" I said, "Yes." And I went on to demonstrate that with Ushi. I did it. And therefore, I made a lot of friends. I never sold weighing scales. I sold profits. I sold assurance. I sold growth. When you walk into the most famous sweet shop of Jaipur, 34 years after having sold that weighing scale, and the owner remembers that his father bought that scale from you in 1979, holds you, shakes your hand and says, "आपके इस तोलने के कांटे ने मेरे मिठाई की दुकान को होटल बना दिया." I think it's the greatest tribute to a salesperson. So these were all challenges. People laughing at you for having taken up a sales guy's job. Today, I guess, when you read that 50 to 60% of CEOs of the top Fortune 500 companies come from sales background, I guess this rests my case. It amplifies the point I'm trying to say. It validates what I'm saying. At the end of the day, if you've been in a sales career, you develop empathy, you develop tolerance, and you've seen the world at somebody else's expense. You don't have to spend money understanding cultures and languages and countries and things like that. Every time we got a transfer or I change a job, and I'd wonder how I tell my wife that we got to move, she'd say, "Great, एक और नई जगह देखने को मिलेगा."
Yes, sir.
So that's how it is.
This is something I can very well relate to because my father also works with Nestle and we keep shifting to places, be it countries or places, cities in India. We keep shifting and every time it is a bit tough, but definitely we get to learn a lot of cultures and a lot of languages. My mother is keen of languages, so she keeps learning languages. Like right now I'm in Ahmedabad, so she's into Gujarati and she wants to learn
I see.
Gujarati.
Great, wonderful. It's easy to pick up, not difficult. When you start looking at things from the other people's perspective, I'll tell you what, to give you a small little sales tip from this only, they say that selling is about walking in the customer's shoes.
Correct.
Now, what happens is, how do you get into the customer's shoes? The first thing you need to do, Mitushi, is to learn to remove your own shoes. Only then can you get into the customer's shoes. So, lekin hamara ego, hamara position, whatever, our own misgivings prevent us from getting into somebody else's shoes. If you do that, Mitushi, I benefited a lot by learning Gujarati. Mrs. Rangaswamy finally decided to become Mrs. Rangaswamy because of that. So there are a lot of perks you get when you're a salesperson and learn languages. Today we had a Bengali lunch, and I think we are having a Punjabi dinner. Now, because thanks to our exposure to various parts of the country. And our papad comes from Amritsar, and I enjoy placing the papad order. It is online, but I like to talk to Gopal Arora in Amritsar, and I like to tell him deliver faster, in Punjabi. So it gives you that great feeling of joy when you're touching the other person. Sales is about not focusing on the brain of the customer, but touching him somewhere on the heart.
I totally agree with you, sir.
So the last question would be, mention the 3 most essential skills for becoming a successful salesperson.
First, common sense. Simple, common sense. Second, fire in the belly. A desire to do something in life, to achieve something in life. You see, what happens is most people succeed only on 2 counts. One, either they have a deep desire, a junoon, a gussa, a josh, to show their parents or wife or children or spouse, whoever, that I have done this great thing. The other thing is when you have no option, when you have no choice. So what happens is, if you have fire in the belly, you're probably likely to meet your goals with joy, with pleasure, rather than as a compulsion. So that's the second. And the third is integrity. So fire in the belly, common sense, and integrity. Integrity being not only truthful to the customer, being truthful to yourself. If you remember dates, if you remember what's written in the diary, you don't have to write in the diary what lie you told somebody else. It is there only for preparing your work and for planning your day, your year, or your life. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. So if there is integrity, because these are the qualities I look for. See, when the person comes, we can teach him sales. We can teach him the nuances of sales and marketing. But if common sense and fire in the belly are there, and the guy is truthful, you have the makings of an excellent salesperson. See, the image of the salesperson is undergoing a huge change. And I'm working on a movement called Awards, AWARDS, a wave of awareness for regaining dignity for the salesperson. Now, why? Because salespeople do not respect themselves. People do not respect salespeople because they do not respect themselves. If they start respecting themselves, why would you not get respect? And if you're proud that you sell, so the last thing I want to tell you people is, maybe after this event is over, you can share a document with your viewers or listeners. I have something called the oath of a salesperson. Like the doctors, the medical practitioners have the oath of Hippocrates. I have a salesperson's oath, which says I'm proud to be a salesperson because I make things happen. And so I merrily go around giving this piece of paper to people, asking them to read it. Because when they read it and go in the morning to work, they feel like they are Superman and the world depends on them. Without a salesperson, your day doesn't begin. Without a salesperson, you can't sleep peacefully. Ask a senior citizen or ask a patient and you'll get the answer. So I guess this is what is required.
Amazing. We had a very amazing talk with you, sir, here. So here comes the end of our event for now, because all our questions are over. And we had a very fruitful and a very grateful session with you, sir. I'm really grateful to you that you agreed on doing this. And we got a chance to connect with you. Thank you so much for coming here, sir.
My pleasure, Mukul. My pleasure, Mitushi. Thanks for inviting me. And I want to tell you something. I did not miss the opportunity the other day, last week maybe, not to tell you what I do, but I said, your talk was interesting. And then I said something, so probably it attracted your attention. I was being a salesperson. So there's nothing wrong in it if it benefits everybody in the long run.
करेक्ट सर, करेक्ट सर.
तो दोस्तों, आपको ये वीडियो कैसी लगी हमें कमेंट सेक्शन में ज़रूर बताइए. एंड द लिंक ऑफ द बुक डिस्कवरिंग द जॉय ऑफ सेलिंग इज़ इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन एंड ऑल्सो द वीडियो लिंक. सो प्लीज़ go through them and do let us know about it. Thank you so much. Keep listening.